Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying tuned. And why wouldn't you? Because we have more awesome Valorant action coming up from the First Strike qualifiers. I'm Vince, joined by Dust, and that was a true pleasure to get casting some Valorant. Dust. Don't know about you, but I had a blast. That was really cool to watch. And even though it ended up being a little bit one-sided in the end, we saw a couple of spicy moments. 100 Thieves, they did slip and slide a little bit.
You know, I might be a bit biased, Vince, but I thought you did pretty good with your first Valorant cast. It was Vince's first time casting Valorant, by the way, so props to you. It's kind of our debut as a casting duo come over from Counter-Strike. I did one event for Valorant so far, but this is only my second time, so, you know, we're learning. We're out here trying, and we appreciate all of you coming in to support. So we got to see a really cool debut there from 100 Thieves, and we got another debut for you, Vince. It won't be their first game together, but it'll be their first game on broadcast. That's going to be NRG, another big organization making their way into Valorant, and they've done so by signing a lot of really cool names, some that you'll be familiar with already from what they've done in Valorant, and then some names, again, coming over from the Counter-Strike team, as a lot of teams are doing these days, if we're being honest. It's kind of the, I guess, most popular transition so far has been, you know, from CSGO over to Valorant, and we'll see Daps and Som, you know, pretty big names in the North American region coming over here on this NRG squad, so this should be another fun time to kind of learn a bit about a new big-name team in this space.
Yeah, so speaking of the rosters, you just touched on a couple of them. You have Chet, Collar, EU, Exceed, and Som. And then for KUDOS, a team that I've got to be honest, I don't know a great deal about Dust. I'm not sure if you've heard these guys before. Jonah, Hira, Zebro, Teddy, and Fletcher will be stacking up against NRG, who I think it's fair to say the firm favorites.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see Chet on there. I know he's supposed to be the coach of NRG. I'm not sure if he's having to fill in for some reason instead of Daps, who is coming in supposedly as the in-game leader of this team. Again, both coming over from Counter-Strike. They just announced today that Exceed would be coming in as a trial fifth for the team. He has not played many official matches yet in Valorant. He's only played a couple of maps, I think. He was always playing Reyna, so I'll be curious to see if that's what he does for this team. But obviously had a huge history himself in Counter-Strike, playing the Mountain Dew League for teams like Soar and the Quest, and even a little bit of Triumph recently. So definitely another kind of Counter-Strike guy. Obviously, Som was a young guy, just kind of really getting his start as a professional player on the PC circuit. He played on Envy, obviously, famously, as well as playing on Gen G alongside Daps, who has a huge track record in North American Counter-Strike as an in-game leader that was able to scout and bring out new talent and build his teams up to be top 10 teams in the world on multiple occasions. So now he's trying to come do the same thing over in Valorant. And then there's a couple of names that you should be more familiar with if you are a follower of Valorant. You have Kohler, who is also formerly of Immortals, just as Asuna and Dicey were on 100 Thieves. Played on that team for quite a long time. Helped that team, again, get some big finishes with the third place at the T1 Nerd Street Invitational, as well as the FaZe Invitational, where, you know, they won a pretty good amount of prize money between those two events. Also had some other top 4 finishes along the way. Kohler himself has a history of playing a lot of Brimstone and Omen, though I would say most of his Brimstone play was very early on, before kind of the meta shifted. He also did play Cypher a lot recently for Immortals, but I've been told that apparently he might be more of a duelist player on this team, so I'll be curious to see that. And then EU, a little bit lesser known, he came over from the former T1 Academy team, though he did have a little bit of play with the main T1 squad where he filled in for them at Pop Flash. Definitely a younger guy, definitely not as seasoned as someone like Kohler. He also plays a lot of Brimstone and Omen, so I'll be curious to see. There is some overlap there with Kohler. So yeah, I'll just kind of want to see what people are going to be doing on this team. I know that Som supposedly will be playing a lot of Jet and just duelists in general. You know, that's something he's already kind of talked about in some different interviews and stuff that he's done. Again, it's going to be kind of a mystery, just like 100 Thieves was, trying to figure out what this team's made of, what they're going to be looking to run agent and composition-wise, and how well they've been able to practice and prepare so far in the time that they've had since this lineup started getting announced.
And speaking of mysteries, do you know much about KUDOS, or are you in the same boat as me on that roster?
You might know more than me because you've read their names off of that roster sheet before I did, because you were talking about them. So you might actually have me beat on that one. Again, hate it, KUDOS. I don't mean any offense by that. It's just there were 128 teams in this bracket, so I can only prepare so much, you know? Maybe a little bit later on down the line. This is your moment to make me know who you are.
No, exactly. Same as Hot Thoughts. You have a window to the entire world of Valorant. If you come out and you somehow upset NRG, you make the games close, you take them out from them, that can turn some heads. This is a real opportunity, and that's one of the beautiful things about these qualifiers, Dust. Like, it really does give lower team unknown players a chance to shine on the biggest stage of all.
Absolutely. It puts everyone on an equal playing field as far as how many matches you have to win to make the progress you need to get to those close qualifiers and ultimately wind up in the first strike main event, as that is the ultimate goal here and what should be, again, the first really big prestigious event that's run by the developer of this game. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this. I am going to try to give you a little bit more information as we're about to get into our first map as far as what we should be seeing map-wise from this. So I'm trying to get a little info there. Looks like Haven will be our first map. So we'll be, back to familiar territory as NRG banned Descent. So we won't see that replayed again as we saw in the first series. But Haven will come up first. KUDOS pick. NRG starting out on the defense. We will have Bind coming up after that. That was NRG's pick. And then Split, if we need it, will be the third map.
So here is our beautiful... I love these fly-throughs, by the way. I think they're excellently done. And this is Haven, our first map that we casted this evening. Will be, well, I say this evening. For me, it's late. What time is it for you guys in America right now, Dust? I know you're on different time zones and whatnot.
Yeah, there are like 4 time zones there, so you got to be a little bit more specific on that. But it is 5:45 p.m. Central Time. So that'd be 6:45 Eastern. Yes.
Getting there.
Yeah.
All right.
You're already in the future. You're in the next day, aren't you, Vince?
Yes, I am indeed.
Actually.
No, not quite actually. It's about an hour to go.
15 minutes.
But let's have a look at how these two teams come into this game. I want to see, this is now the round of 64. NRG did get a bye, and KUDOS will be coming straight in. Is there anything catching you off guard here about the picks?
Literally everything. Sam's playing Jet, which I expected. EU is playing Sova instead of Brim or Omen. Daps is playing Omen. Kohler is playing a Duelist, which I kind of hinted at being a possibility. And then EU is playing Cypher. Dude, yeah, it's all over the place as far as Asian picks compared to what they've played in the past, some of these players.
That's one of the beautiful things, though, isn't it? Coming into this, there were questions to be answered, and we've got some of those answers, but there's still so many more, and curiosity is certainly peaking for me. As KUDOS start to get aggressive, flashpoints tossed out into the side, Jet getting that tailwind up close, the updraft as well, and throwing in the cloudburst, and then meanwhile, Fletcher does actually take down the first frag onto Dabs. EU's also been dispatched post-haste, and now Exceed, a bit labored, but finally gets the headshot onto his opposite Cypher of Teddy, keeping the dream alive, but they do trail by a player.
Yeah, again, curious to see Exceed on the Cypher. The only games I had seen him play, he had played Arena, which is in like one of the qualifiers. Pretty dominantly.
Oh yes, there you go. Straight up slapped. Just the one kill for NRG. It was only Exceed in middle from Garage, and by that point, the damage had already been done. The side had already been lost on C. And having a look at KUDOS here, Dust, it seems like we might have more of the same. 4 players stacking over onto the C side of the map.
Yep, again, they're going to have Cypher caging at the long A cross, perhaps, to deny information that they are indeed going. Omen will probably smoke top C to kind of hide the creeping up long C for as long as possible before they actually decide to burst onto the site. Again, this is very standard Haven default attack opening. A lot of the NA teams run this opening formation. They are going to have the Sova drone as well, kind of leading the charge as they come up. Smoke goes down towards spawn, and they are going to pounce on this C site, which is now wide open. There's been no defense set up here.
So here's a bit of a backstory while we're kind of talking over what should be a pretty straightforward round.
Okay.
So KUDOS, bit of history for them. They did win a previous Valorant Open from Nerd Street Gamers, $1,000.
Okay.
So we know they're a team that they got some chops. They definitely got the ability, and we've already seen that in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, what I was referring to earlier about Exceed is I think he played in the Renegades qualifier, like the event we just had not so long ago prior to this one. But again, he was playing a lot of Reyna then. So interested to see him on the Cypher. I'm not sure if that's something he's known for playing when he's played scrims or, in other matches. But yeah, definitely a lot of cool little picks here from NRG. But KUDOS is out here putting up some numbers already. They're up 2-0, but here comes the first full buy from NRG. So this is kind of the first test for KUDOS, who will be holding on to a couple of Spectres. Obviously still very powerful weapons, though, so you're not really going to be too much in the back foot with those, except for at extreme range.
Yeah, this is almost more of like a bonus round. You keep the SMGs, you keep the Spectres in play, and obviously if you get some success, then awesome. Maybe you can even take some of those assault rifles away from NRG, but it certainly wouldn't favor them in terms of raw weaponry.
Yeah, again, KUDOS came to this game with that same core 3 that you see oh so often, the Cypher, Omen, and Sova. That Smoker and those 2 information gatherers, they are, falling in line with Breach. They have Jet as their solo duelist. as they are trying to come into B now. Smoke up, flashes effective. Som trying to play up top, trying to bide his time. EU, great little shock dart there, does get one frag. And again, they're not controlling any of the links though, Vince, so they're all kind of funneled to hold off this retake.
Oh, that side swipe though from Exceed and Collar could not have been better, in the spray transfer living up to it as well. He's a player that a lot of people will have their eye on in this tournament. And it's moments like that that really show you why.
Yeah, I think that you're going to have a hard time holding off B retakes if you are not controlling one of those link areas. If you're not controlling the A link side or the B link side, or you're not able to get into garage and threaten kind of like a flank on the retake from C side, you're not really going to have success holding off, you know, NRG when they're going for those retakes, especially because Som played so patient. Yeah, he allows the spike plant, but he held his time up top. He was able to make calls that no one was actually pushing, you know, deep into A link or deep into their spawn. And then they were able to just kind of come together and retake there. So that was a good job from NRG. Ooh, I like this aggression.
Yeah, this is real fast. Both teams taking the initiative. A site under real threat up on long. In heaven, Exceed blinded by the dark cover, blinded by the cloudbursts that are being tossed in from Hera's jet. And now another post plant. This has been NRG struggling with spike plants time and time again. Have been successful in one of these endeavors though for a retake. With Teddy occupying middle, it means that it's going to be more of a one-dimensional retake, and KUDOS know this. In come NRG. They still have two curveballs at their disposal as the fault line comes out, but Collar's already passed it. Gets flashed. Fault line did catch on the players just behind him, but NRG so far it's been a flawless retake. Now things are getting a little bit more dicey. Punched in hell. He's gone down, and now Sova Zebro tries to flick across. If he'd landed that second shot, I would have lost my mind. But he has gone down, and NRG with their second consecutive defuse.
Yeah, so on the one hand, you saw a good use of the Rolling Thunder from KUDOS to clear out the entire A site and force NRG to play retake, but then you saw Som, great use of the Cloudburst there. He basically cut off one half of the site, allowed them just to focus on Sewer's side, used the Phoenix flashes of Kohler to get some space, and then trade their way back into the site. So again, another well-orchestrated retake from NRG. They kept their wits about them despite losing the site early, and they played the 5-on-5 retake to perfection. And now they tie up the game. We do see KUDOS will now have to be on just the Sheriffs mostly. They do have the Ghost on Teddy. Classic only for Hera. And so this should be a mop-up round for NRG. This should be them taking the lead for the first time this game.
Certainly hope so. Stormblade, or Bladestorm I should say, has already been popped alongside Cloudbursts. So Hera is getting up close. But you feel like with the weaponry or the lack thereof that they have at their possession, it would have to be that ult that goes huge, and EO's caught him out in the open, the freest of kills, and Collar's trying to flick over. That's the perfect wall bang angle. Jeez. Exactly nearly just picks him up through the wall. Now Cypher popping his ultimate. Som goes in for more damage, more kills, and the Neural Theft's information has paid out in dividends. NRG 3 in a row.
Yeah, big time stuff there. Wow. That would be my dog. He wanted to cast too, Vince.
Understandable. It's been great action. Who wouldn't?
It has been. Puppy approved. So you are going to see NRG jump up to that 3-2 lead. Not expecting much out of KUDOS that round, to be fair. They did use the one Blade Storm, which is kind of the main firepower they had, and when it got picked off immediately by EU, it was pretty much, you know, over with. But now they're back onto the buy. Som will have that AWP on Jet. Not an AWP. Oh, man, that's going to ruin me. I'm so sorry. They're both called an op for short. What do you want me to do?
Any angle.
Tell you what EU's going to do.
Straight up. Pace Teddy. Ooh, the operator has missed from Som. Run it back, popped. Intel's been gathered, but no kill alongside it. Ends a bit of a stalemate in terms of the long A control, but NRG still have the advantage. They still have the edge with that opening pick onto Cypher.
Indeed, that is a good start for NRG. They got some good intel on the A side of the map with that. They still have Som holding Sewer's position. This allows Phoenix to have the flexibility now to rotate over. That's going to be Kohler. It's going to be coming through spawn to help reinforce this C and B side as he's going to be playing the top of the garage. Now, though, the re-aggression from KUDOS to control A lobby. It's pushed Sam back. He's having to call for a rotation back here, which he's going to be getting in spades. Everyone's starting to kind of pivot towards spawn, but they're not quite convinced it's an A attack just yet, but it certainly will be. We can see that. Smoke's down. Spike making its way in.
30 seconds left.
Plant will go down. It's going to be another retake, but NRG will be a man up as they go for it.
A man up, but lacking a lot of utility. On multiple players, you can see that from EU's perspective, he has no recon bolts, no shock bolts either, no drone, and Zebro holding the line from the backside, putting more pressure on NRG. Cheeky attempt from Som. The updrift alongside the Blade Storm, but he's still now the last man standing. The rest of his teammates have all been pummeled in the space of a second. 3 fall, and now just cloudbursting to try and survive. Gets the first onto Hero, who has the audacity to push through the smoke. He's punished, but the round is going the way of KUDOS regardless.
Yeah, tough on Sam to have to use the Blade Storm just to try to save the operator. You never really want to be using it for that type of moment, but he tried to, go for that updraft peek into the site that definitely could have been fruitful, just didn't happen to find a team member that he was looking for. And honestly, that was just KUDOS taking full advantage of like a very brief timing window where Sam felt confident enough to tell his teammates that they didn't have to worry about A, and they were in transition to reinforce the other side of the map, and that's the moment that KUDOS decided to strike with the great little set piece on A. So just happened to find a great little timing, and that's going to tie the game right back up. As we're going to see EU again go with this aggression with Jett to try to get out into grass area here and deny that mid control from KUDOS, who have well and truly been forced back. They're just kind of sitting back towards their spawn, and they almost got caught. Just a brief miss there from Sam.
He's had a couple of brief misses, though, and these are the kind of misses that will start to stack up. Can cost you dearly. Remember in that previous round, they missed a shot up on long side of A. That would have been a 2-player advantage to kick things off. But these are often the small little differences that make a big impact come the end of a match.
Yep.
In terms of this round, though, it's been a bit of a stalemate. It's been a bit of a slow start.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically playing retake A because they have both trips up and they have a camp in sewers. So they're able to reinforce B and C a little bit more heavily, and they have perfect information on the A side of the map. That's great news for NRG, but can they stop this attack?
It's not looking good. Hera's coming with 2, but now Som and Collar show their hands, starting to dispatch the oncoming attackers. Hera, 3rd kill, and Fletcher goes in for 1 as well. NRG in real trouble. They need Exceeds to spring into action with a 3K. He has full HP left, but not for much longer, as Fletcher with a Phantom dices him up, and KUDOS take the lead again.
With brute force fence, I mean, again, I think NRG are doing great things on this A side of the map as far as intel gathering and taking map control. It's allowing them to have a lot more freedom with their rotations. The problem is, KUDOS are just smacking them around anyway. Daps has yet to find a frag on the game. KUDOS is brute forcing their way, particularly through the C side of the map. And, I mean, the thing is, if you're NRG and you're getting these little small advantages when it comes to, map control, you have to be able to spiral those into victories, and they haven't really been able to do that. They've had a couple of good retakes. In fact, all their victories have been off of retakes, but now you're seeing KUDOS really start to clamp down.
Fault line. Pretty fruitless without any push. There was a Cypher Cage put into position, which is fending off some of that early intel and vision. But not for the first time. KUDOS now with the perfect reads, pushing in. Owl Drone preceding the push, being the spearhead of the operation. Cloud bursts onto the site, and we will have another retake for NRG. They go stacking elsewhere, and they are punished. They have Exceed that's moving in towards Garage, but they've all been smoked off.
Yeah, they've been just outmaneuvered time and time again. The spike will get planted. It will be a full 5-on-5 retake. Teddy even on the flank through B site. They have no idea. Sam may have gotten a frag short, but he lines up 2. That's going to be now a 3-on-3 in play.
Collar coming in from long. Owl Drone spotted, but Teddy gets his 3rd. Collar's still been unchecked, unspotted, but now he springs into action. And there's the Vandal spray down. It's a 2v1. The spike's still yet to get planted, and EU from the side takes down Teddy with the headshot, courtesy of the Vandal. Big retake and a massive moment from Collar up C-Long.
I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of KUDOS, man. They're doing a great job using their utility, using their jet dash to just really close distance and overwhelm these sites. Again, they're finding good timing windows. They seem to just be, again, outmaneuvering NRG across the map. NRG aren't able to leverage really any advantages that they might be gaining in the early round. And will that change is kind of the big question for me. I feel like they're doing a lot of good things, but they're just not capitalizing. It's really the best way to put it.
Here comes. Ooh, Som nearly lines them both up. This is, I was about to say that a Blade Storm was brewing. 2 Cloudbursts. Som springing up with the updraft. No one is home. For one of the first times, though, Dust, it feels like KUDOS have been pushed on the back foot, and they have conceded the first player. So let's see if NRG can capitalize on this momentary weakness.
Yeah, oftentimes when NRG get control of A, they don't find a frag to boot. You know, usually KUDOS is either not there, they're able to fall back off. Now, this time, NRG actually have that 5-on-4. They actually got that big operator pick they've been lacking from Som throughout most of this half. And Exceed will add to it. A flank comes in from Kohler. This is fantastic from NRG. Kohler with 3. Again, the seasoned veteran compared to the rest of the roster of NRG when it comes to Valorant, coming over from Immortals, and he has a big round there. He's up to 12-5. He's really trying to drag his team kicking and screaming through some of these rounds where some of his other teammates have kind of struggled to assert themselves. And that's a big victory for NRG. It keeps the scoreboard close. It kind of puts a little bit of a momentum halt over to KUDOS. And now NRG are starting to find their footing a little bit here, Vince. And we can see the economic repercussions are also catching up to KUDOS in this round.
Ooh, we have a Guardian in play. Okay, so bro, 1 tap potential is on the cards. Let's see if he can pull it off for himself. They have been spotted by the spy cam of Exceed, who's lost his camera, but it's at the cost of plenty of information, and he'll be happy with that tailwind onto the site. Here comes the Cloudburst again, Sheriff. It's speculative at best through the smoke, and it hasn't connected. It will be a post plant, but they'll know the economy right now on KUDOS is pretty grim, and they're happy with this outcome. They played alone. Here comes the Rolling Thunder, and I feel like it affected almost the attackers more so than the defenders, and now they're just being completely dismantled by the Phantom of EU. So a successful plant. They did get a kill. Not too shabby from KUDOS. I would say mission accomplished, Dust, but it still means that NRG moves 6-4 in the lead.
Yeah, I mean, they got the spike plant, which is kind of priority number 1 in a situation like that where you have low firepower, but they gave themselves a chance to win the round. I think that was a good idea on how they were using the Rolling Thunder there to kind of force their way out. They knew if they played standard retake positions in the post plant, they'd probably just fall prey to, you know, the superior firepower of NRG. So they knew they had to go for something, and they decided to go for the push, and they just didn't quite land the mark, I guess you could say, on that Rolling Thunder. But again, I like the idea. And again, they've been playing good Valorant overall. It's a very tight game. They came in maybe the slight underdog when you look at some of the names that are on the NRG lineup. As you said, though, they've been able to prove themselves in some of the, you know, weekly cups and such out in the scene, and now they're, you know, able to get something rolling here in this game, but they have fallen prey to the Hunter's Fury early in this round. Big catch there from EU.
Bit of a nightmare start after you've been waiting for this very moment with some guns alongside you to lose the first player. What you'll feel is a bit of a freebie. Owl Drone coming out, taking the lower ground to try and catch off guard NRG. To spot it eventually. Shock dart behind the double doors of Garage, but no one's home. Meanwhile, Collar, again, he seems so good at just flanking in these positions where KUDOS are busy elsewhere and then coming around the back to get double and triple sprays. If he's not careful, though, the rest of his teammates will be dispatched if he doesn't spring into action soon, and now he shows his hand. The spray transfer could not have been better. And all headshots all day with NRG now picking up a 3rd in a row.
Yeah, and this is why I like seeing Kohler on this NRG lineup. You didn't really get to see him play a star role when he was in Immortals. He was having to make room for people like Asuna and Dicey, who were also very skilled duelists, who were really helping that Immortals team surge to being one of the best teams in the North American region. And so Kohler often got relegated, I guess you could say, to having to play smoking agents like Brim or Omen, and then having to play Cypher even through a lot of his later time with that Immortals lineup. But now he can kind of step into the limelight a bit more. He has other people on this team that can cover some of those more supportive roles, and he gets to be a star coming into this Phoenix, and he's had a hell of a game. And speaking of a hell of a game, EU has had so many opening pick moments. Like, he had the Hunter's Fury pick last round. This round, he gets the Odin. I mean, he is definitely making his presence known.
That's just an outrageous Odin spray through the door. It's like straight into the face. And now they're walking into the Blade Storm. and they will not live to tell the tale, because there's curveballs around the corner. Around every single corner, every surface, our NRG laid in wait, looking to really pay some revenge for those previous few rounds where it got a little bit sweaty. But now Exceed puts the final nail in the coffin of the first half, and NRG will lead it 8-4. And it's been pretty convincing, considering they had that middle portion where things were a little bit sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, they really put it on there at the end. 5 rounds in a row to have an 8-4 lead as we take a look at the GoPuff Free Play plackets here for the halftime to kind of highlight some of the bigger moments that we saw there. Again, a pretty good start, I would say, from KUDOS. We could see that the score was quite tight, but then Kohler and company really stepped it up. Again, I think EU had a couple of big opening picks with Sova, whether it's the Hunter's Fury, whether it was that Odin spam we saw in the final round. Again, Kohler making his presence known with a lot of these flanks. It just seemed like once NRG found their footing, Vince, they didn't really look back.
That's a good way of putting it, man. Felt like they were a bit slow to get warmed up. They did get a bye in the first stage of the tournament, so maybe didn't have the benefit of having played an opponent earlier on, but now they will move on to the attacking side. Spike in the hands as they move up slowly but surely. Not quite as aggressive as we saw when KUDOS were on the attacker's side. They're taking their sweet time.
They got aggressive early. They didn't really find anything, though. Rather than overstaying their welcome, they just kind of faded back. And so now they're playing more standard positions across the map as they didn't really gain much intel from the aggression. They have a little bait and switch set up, though, at Garage, as we do see Jonah playing from the window. He's got a player up close here in the corner. So Kohler, depending on how his curveball works out here, he could either bang him out or find himself in a lot of trouble, as they are certainly going to test this area.
Oh, Fletcher gets both! Finally traded out from Som. But he's done his work. He can now sit on the sidelines and wait for the rest of his team to hopefully bring it home for him. Daps taking flashes, but still pushing forward, persevering. Hira takes him out of the occasion and then goes in for another, falls down to Som, but Teddy chips in. And KUDOS, really off the back of Fletcher holding down the fort of Garage, pull it out for the second pistol.
I can't tell you how annoying it is to push against that corner in a pistol round against a classic burst fire, or later on whenever you can have things like shorties or more advanced shotguns or just whatever it may be. Yes, you can always smoke off that windows to isolate that fight or even the link hallway, but you need to have some other type of utility to kind of help you clear that corner, whether it be a flash, whether it be an aftershock, whether it be just anything to kind of make that player uncomfortable. Obviously, in a pistol round, utility is a little bit harder to come by as far as what abilities you can put into play. So it's something to think about for later, but usually that spot's only going to be effective in eco situations or pistol rounds. Point is, NRG shouldn't read too much into that. It was a big loss, sure, great round from KUDOS, but don't get overwhelmed by negativity just because you took that L.
Yeah, it came off the back of just 2 beautiful headshots. These aren't the kind of things that you can rely on round in, round out from Fletcher. As good as it was, and they still have to bypass these threats that are being generated against them. Low members. As Exceed gets finished off, he was low HP beforehand, and then Jonah with the ghost switches across to his sidearm, putting down Kohler. And no spike plant alongside it, so the economy doesn't build up as much as NRG were hoping for.
Yeah, Stinger, not only a great craft cocktail, but also a great weapon to put into use in round 2 type situations like that one. Pretty clean little victory there from KUDOS. As I wonder how many people are Googling that cocktail recipe right now. Of course, you have to be of the correct age. Let's be reasonable. Not trying to get in trouble here, as we are going to see the Spectres in full force from KUDOS against the full buy from NRG, who are looking to pressure C very early on here. There is some mid-aggression, though, from KUDOS, so they might be able to pick up on this.
Making a move just into the dark cover. Here's Fletcher. Teddy with the first. EU has revealed a couple of players' positions, but they're not too bothered about that because they're looking to plant the spike down. Now the impetus, now all of the pressure swells on top of KUDOS. They do have a player advantage, albeit Cypher on low HP. They have plenty of utility alongside Jonah's breach. He tosses in the first. Flashpoint just behind it. Now they're coming in. Need to move in together as a united force, otherwise they will fall, and NRG are getting the better of these trades. It's only Hira that's picked up one, a perfect curveball. And Jonah catches it on the head with Daps to clean it up. 9-6.
Yeah, they just couldn't really use that mid-aggression to get the intel fast enough on what type of attack was coming their way, nor could they really get off the flanks they needed either, and they were down in firepower. Again, kind of the bonus SMG round there, so a tough one for KUDOS, but now they're up to the full buy. They have Hira on the operator. He has shown a lot of good movement with the Jet, so I'm curious to see how he's able to put the operator to use on this defensive side. NRG setting up. Kind of standard. Again, they have Omen there to smoke off top C. They have the Cypher to cage off long A across the pressure sewers. So nothing really fancy, but we see Hira trying to push past the smoke with the operator. Unable to land the shot, but able to get away. So no harm, no foul. It's a nice try. And now we kind of settle into that kind of old classic default haven.
Updraft was used in the process, though. But that'll come back later on to haunt is yet to be seen. Teddy with 2. Quick-fire headshots. And it's Som's Blade Storm, the only counteractive property that NRG really have. He gets the 1, and now it's up to the remaining 2 players of Omen and Sova to try and pick this one up. But KUDOS have been very good in these kind of situations beforehand. They haven't given one of those sites across to a free spike either.
Yeah, this has been great challenging by KUDOS in that sewers position, kind of having a read of the situation, deciding to take the fight head on and winning out that trade. And now they have the 3-on-2. Spike is still positioned here for NRG. They have yet to bounce off. They still have Hira covering the C side right now for KUDOS, so they can kind of keep their other A defenders in place, and they have a quick walk to the B site if they feel like that might be the intended target. Hira's taking peeks down long C, again, able to keep that information, so it's a 2-on-2 battle on the A side.
20 seconds allocated for this battle. Double flashes. Make it 3. All the flash points tossed in. Retina's burnt out the skulls, and Zebro gets both. Daps trying to plant. And those flash that came through from Breach were just so godly.
Bro, I don't think that Owl Drone saw a damn thing.
No.
Which was what NRG were really relying on there. They were hoping that they could use a drone to clear out some of the angles in the site to know what to focus on, but those flashes were so perfect and really denying that drone of getting in the intel. And then NRG, you know, they have to be expedient. They have to get in there and plant the spike. They can't, you know, scoff away because they didn't get the intel they needed. They had to make it happen, and they just could not force it through. Really well done there from KUDOS. Kudos to them. Pun fully intended.
Cypher Cage has been deployed. There was a chance, and Hira's made the most of it. Som gets picked off. It's jet-on-jet action, and KUDOS come out ahead. Outspring NRG, but Jonah with a triple spray on his Phantom. Perfect crosshair placement. Pixel perfect in the end. Leaving a 1-on-5, and it's Cola with a Spectre by his side, and Teddy goes in again. KUDOS bring us back to a one-round deficit. I've got to say, I've been very impressed with KUDOS so far.
Yeah, they're playing really smart Valorant on both sides of the map. Particularly this defense has been really well done. You know, you see Som trying to make a play through the cage rather than just taking the standard cross in the sewers, and he got punished for it there. Hira was, you know, waiting for that with the operator. He's been very dynamic. He's changing up his starting locations. Exactly what you want out of a defensive operator. You want them to be able to move across the map and keep the opponent guessing. I think that's what Hira's exactly able to do. He's taking aggressive peeks long C. Now he's on top of the B site. Again, just varying what NRG have to worry about.
NRG more deep towards their spawn. Now starting to make moves up onto A long. First pick goes their way. Exceed dropping the opposition Cypher of Teddy. Ooh, that was so close to spreading to Fletcher, and that would have been him dead. He would have had to have forced himself out of long into the arms of that Cypher operator.
I mean, he could have teleported, so he could have got out, but he would have wasted a teleport in a way that he probably wouldn't have wanted to use it. But he'll hold his position, and now I'm kind of curious. Do NRG suspect that he's still there? That's the real mind games that are going to come into play here soon, Vince. Especially if Jet can get in position for the crossfire. This could still be something that haunts NRG a little bit later on, but you do see that they're kind of refocusing now. They're pivoting back over. They're taking control of grass. They're looking to, you know, put that smoke on C garage. They're going to pressure that, and maybe even perhaps wind up in the B site.
The Blade Storm waiting for them. Omen Has his ult cancelled. Hero not far off landing that operator shot, but instead just backs away, and Cola dishes the damage. Jonah comes in for 2. Shock dart has been put into place. Can't deny the spike from being planted. And now EU's going in for more. Jonah has been dealt with. Cola onto Zebro. And that will all be down to Fletcher's Omen. And he has to make the long trek all the way around A if he wants to go for this. But it seems like he's saving instead. He doesn't want any piece of this action.
Absolutely. So a couple different things there. One, that's a great use of From the Shadows, right? You're very rarely actually going to be able to use it to sneak around, but what you can use it for is, 1, for information, or 2, you force someone to have to respect it. And the moment that we see Hira have to come back and check that location, that's the moment that the initial choke point is wide open for NRG to abuse. So again, great use of that. And then the second thing I want to point to is NRG decide to control A link. That is one of the post-plant kind of theories that we haven't seen some of the other teams use on their attacking side Haven so far today, which I think is oh so vital. If you're able to control one of those links, you cut off a retake and you give yourself some extra space where you're not trapped in the site or trapped just playing out in middle. And I think that that was a great combination there from NRG to get around when they really needed one, honestly, Vince, because this game is getting really close. KUDOS are challenging them quite well, and that was a very important round to win if you're NRG. And now they can just kind of fade back into, again, that standard Cypher KJ cross, Omen smoking top C, and just kind of working out information, deciding where you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, up until that point, it was 4-1 in our second half to KUDOS. So a second attack round certainly will be a welcome sign. Aldrone gets pummeled and destroyed, and now the shock dart round the corner as damage being done through the wall. Nice. And Zebro finishes off Exceed, and he could be going in for another one as well. Wasn't far off, connecting a secondary frag, and that's just a huge start from KUDOS.
Oh, it absolutely is. EU having to force a drone out just to make sure that no one's still up close on A. That's not ideally how you want to be using a drone, just to get that very basic information. It doesn't really help you make much progress. Really great little combination there from KUDOS to get aggressive on that A side and find themselves an early pick. Now you can see that they're even maybe going to be challenging grass area. They do have their Cypher position inside that smoke at C Garage. Meanwhile, we are going to see NRG making that transition back over to C side. Slowly but surely, they will be looking to execute this site. Omen will be playing from the backside. He's just kind of jump peeking for information. He will have a smoke he can put down to maybe slow them down and call for a rotation.
Smoke doesn't quite land, but the paranoia does. His spray is not on point to deliver. He gets traded back straight away from Daps, and with 12 seconds to go, it's looking like the spike might get planted, or perhaps not. That's a perfect flash through, and Teddy makes the most of it. But now EO comes back in before the Jonah just closes the door in NRG's face. KUDOS steal it away.
Man, I was a bit concerned because I thought that the tripwire paranoia combination there for Fletcher was going to set him up to at least get 1 or 2 kills there on that initial seed take. It didn't quite pan out, but then Jonah showing you the power of Breach. A well-timed flash allows him a way back into that site to disrupt the spike plant and roll it into a victory. And now that gap on the scoreboard, it becomes the thinnest it can possibly be. And on top of that, Vince, NRG have to go for a pistol round. And that's going to give KUDOS a great chance to tie this thing up at 10 apiece, Vince. We're no longer looking at landslides today, Vince. We're looking at a close contest, and I couldn't be more excited to see it happen.
Yeah, as highlighted before, KUDOS, they're definitely no scrubs. These guys, they've won tournaments in the past. They've won some of the Nerd Street Gamers events, the Opens for $1,000. We know that they're a solid unit, and they're proving it every single second. Fletcher now getting one, but traded out from the Ghost. It's a bit of a poor buy on NRG. If they could really get a spike plant, that would be ideal, but they've been locked down. And it's at the cost of 2 lives, which isn't too bad, but that does mean that KUDOS have tied us up at 10-10.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what NRG are thinking to do here. I mean, they've been playing the standard default, but they've often been kind of out-traded by some of the aggression from KUDOS on the peripheries of the map. So I'd like to see them either put more of a focus on middle and pressuring that B side, or maybe really implementing C Garage a little bit more. I feel like their standard play has fallen a bit short. They've only found 2 rounds this entire side of attacking. So I feel like something needs to change, either it be their tempo, or whether it be maybe just putting focus elsewhere on the map besides just the standard, you know, top C smoke and A cage cross from Cypher.
Aggression through middle on KUDOS. It's them that's switching it up. They are taking the initiative. They are getting aggressive. And they may very well reap what they've sown because Teddy is sneaking around the back. It's a pick and it's a rotation instantly. A hit and run. A snatch and grab. But Som is dealt with him. And he'll make sure that Teddy plays no further part in this round.
I feel like he needed a teammate to help him get out of that. You know, I feel like someone needed to be playing from C Garage doorway or playing from B and helping him get out of there or setting up some type of trade. Trading 1-for-1 there on that push from Cypher isn't really good enough. It did slow Energy down a bit and cause a little bit of chaos, but now Energy have time to recover and they have a big man advantage as far as where they're going to be positioned on the map right in this moment.
Recon Dart is good. Zebro goes 1-for-1. Aftershock pummeled in. Will deny the bomb plant a few more seconds and is slowing them down, is stalling them, but NRG will not be contained. Daps and a Phantom rip and tear through the heads of the opposition, and they move one step closer to at least overtime.
He's really woken up, Vince. I mean, there was one moment, I feel like not that long ago, where he was like 0-8 or 0-9 or something along those lines. And while he's not meant to be one of the heavy lifters when it comes to fragging on this team, he's more known for his brains and his brawn. You can't be a deficit to your team. You have to at least be able to contribute. And now he has. That's a big round for him there. He's had a couple other moments as well this half. He's up to 9. Again, not really, you know, lighting up the scoreboard by any means, but now he's starting to be able to contribute and helping in some of these trading situations. And that's a big round to win for Energy. It holds KUDOS off from taking a lead. They'll keep the default rolling. This time they're eyeing out any type of mid-aggression from KUDOS, but it won't be coming this time around. More standard play this time.
You can see that they're respecting that that push could come in again, though, and that does take a few seconds away. Maybe a bit of utility. Owl Drone goes looking. Does spot a player, but not too much, really. Run it back has been popped. And Collar has the right idea. It actually takes down Teddy. That is huge.
Absolutely. Not only did he get an opening pick, he also makes sure that no one's playing up close on C Garage, so they can take that a little bit later if they want to. But instead, they know that they've probably caused some type of rotation towards the C side. They know that they've created probably a vulnerability, whether that be sewers or B site. And so they're going to be sweeping over now with all 5 of their members to this A side. They still have plenty of utility for the attack itself. Exceed now pushing out into long, knowing no one's playing up close. Smoke will go onto Heaven. From the shadows implemented.
Oh, Hera through the cloud burst.
30 seconds
now Hunter's Fury, not quite living up to its name. Not much ferocity behind that, but it's forced away some of the players into the choke points. It's opened up a bit of space for NRG to plant the spike, but they've lost Collar in amongst all of the chaos. Now the fault line put into position, stalling a little bit longer. Paranoia could not have been better placed, and Daps will jump on top of that with 2 more kills. You're right, he's absolutely woken up from his slumber. And now Zebro's position is compromised, and he may not live to tell the tale. Desperately trying to dart back and forth from Heaven. And he may be sent there momentarily, only 17 HP remaining, but still holds on against EU, and he realizes, I just have to save. That's a bitter pill to swallow. But NRG now have 2 map points.
Yeah, I feel like there's a parallel between Daps coming alive fragging-wise and some of these really tense late-round situations and Energy finally having success on their attacking side. They've had plenty of moments in the mid-round where things looked about even, but they couldn't really roll it into a victory. Now you're starting to see it happen. Daps is starting to able to collect on some of these retaking chances that KUDOS are trying to put into place. Not only that, but that was just such a huge play from Kohler. Getting that pick into C, getting the man advantage, causing the C player to have to respect that it could be a C split and have to stay, causing the B player to have to kind of rotate to assist, and basically ensuring that they were going to have a huge advantage on the A take. They had a great smoke on Heaven. They had a great from the shadows to kind of draw Hero's attention. While he did still find an operator kill, which was impressive, they couldn't really do much more than that. And so now Energy are going to be at map point, though they are on the back foot this particular round.
And again, they go for raw aggression. Neural theft comes into play. For a few moments, they know exactly where NRG are residing. And if they didn't already know, now they've been spotted on their approach to the C site. Planter has been killed. Zebro with a shot dart, banking it off the wall and putting it into good place. But now Kohler taking the initiative, getting up close, getting personal. And putting us down to a 2-on-2. Flashpoint connects through, but it's all about Hera. It's all about his position. Here's the surprise attack falling down to Cola. Can he hold the line? Can he clutch this round for his team and put the one map to the good? Or does Jonah come out ahead? It's Cola all day. 13-10. Valiant attempt from KUDOS, but they can't quite get it done.
It was a labored victory there from NRG, but they do get it done, as Vince is actually the one in the shadows right now. But Omen has appeared in the form of Vince there, so welcome back, dude. But no, I think that one of the cool things we can pick out from that match, because there's a lot, we don't have a lot of time to talk about it, is people are now able to see the impact that Kohler can have in a duelist role. It's not something he got to really do on Immortals, but we got to see it there in spades. And I think that he was the one that kept them in it when times were tough, which bought time for some of the other players to start waking up, like Daps in particular, who really started fragging pretty well there towards the end of the game to help close it out. Close game, closer than I thought. Impressed by KUDOS, but NRG did get the job done that they were required to do, and so they will take the one map advantage here in this round of 64 match.
Yeah, certainly spare a thought for KUDOS, Dust, because I genuinely think that they had a real chance to actually not just potentially take it to overtime, but actually win this game. I mean, you go back to the start of that second half, 4-1 was the score. Huge 2v2, I think it was, post-plant that goes the way of NRG. If that goes against them, if KUDOS picked that up, 5-1, economy on the back burner, they actually could even take the lead. It was 10-10 at one point. They absolutely could have won this, and that was their choice of map. So they've let that one slip, and now you feel like NRG are about to kick it up a few notches.
Yeah, we're going to get to see a new map today that we haven't seen yet, is what I mean. It's going to be Bind, obviously a classic in Valorant, but it'll be our first time getting to cover it here in the open qualifiers for First Strike for the North American side. So we'll hope that you'll stay tuned for that. But first, we do have to take a short break. You hate to see it, but it has to happen. So we'll be back in just a little bit. Stay tuned.